Hi, we are back with Truth 101, video 6, talking about religion versus truth. As you will soon find, every question that you have is answered in God's divine word. Remember what his word is. It is not the English translation of the Holy Bible, but the messages that are hidden within it. This is his word. Those messages it's very simple. It's actually just the original scripture that was written. See, it was interpreted and sometimes interpreted incorrectly, but the messages are still there. So we have to sometimes go back to the original language to understand what those messages are. So this is God's divine word. The matter of religion versus truth is one of these things that are answered for us in the Bible, and we don't have to guess, or we don't have to even trust someone like myself to get this answer. In Mark chapter 7, verses 5 through 9, and we're going to open this up. 7 and 5, okay. Yeshua talks about this very matter, okay. And so in 5, you see what it says. It says here, then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, why walk not thy disciples according to the traditions of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands? And so the Pharisees are asking Jesus, why don't your disciples have to wash their hands like we have been taught to do by the elders? It is tradition that you wash your hands before you eat. And so this is Yeshua's response. He answered and said unto them, well hath Isaiah, or Esaias, who is Isaiah, prophesied of the hypocrites, as it is written, this people honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go back to verse 6. And what is he saying? He said, Isaiah prophesied about this. He prophesied about you hypocrites. These hypocrites are a people who honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. He says, you do all this, but you are worshiping me in vain. It is in vain. He says the teachings, because you are teaching for doctrines, the commandments of men. And he says you lay aside the commandment of God. You hold the tradition of men, as washing of pots and cups and many other such things do you do. And he said unto them, full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition. And so he's saying these people reject the commandment of God that they may keep their own tradition. If you study the Bible, or as you continue to study the Bible, what you'll learn is that the Pharisees and the scribes were the religion of that day. And so they were the quote unquote Jews of that day. They practiced a religion called Judaism, and that is who he is speaking to. And so he's telling them that, their synagogues is what they called it, but we call it a church today. And so he's saying what religion is, and the Jews still call it a synagogue. But the idea is that he's talking about religion versus the truth of God. And what Yeshua is explaining for us, he really gives us the best answer to this question when he quotes Isaiah. He's saying that religious is a hypocritical and vain worship where people honor God with their lips, but their heart is far from the Father. He says it teaches the doctrines of men, and so we make our own, wake up our own doctrines and our own commandments and these different things. One pastor told it to me like this. He said, we have a certain protocol. And when he said that, it reminded me so much of the Pharisees and scribes of Jesus's day. But that protocol is the doctrines of men, and it's the commandments of men. But what about the commandment of God? We have religion forsakes the commandment of God for the sake of their traditions, and that this is what Yeshua is talking about. And so there you go. This is religion versus truth. Truth, on the other hand, can only come from God. In order to get it, you have to know him. So you have to have a relationship with the Most High God, and then you will know truth. That relationship will not come from religion. Try as we may, religion will never give us the truth. we have to have the relationship. Now, you can be, partake in religion and still have a relationship with God, at least for a time. But what you'll find as you continue to grow in your journey is that if the place you are at, in the institution of religion, is not speaking, or is speaking against the commandments of God. For example, the traditions such as Christmas, celebrating Christmas and Easter and these different things, you'll find that God will separate you. Having that truth, having that relationship with Him will separate you from religion. It will divide you and religion, because it's counterproductive. They're opposite. They're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Okay, religion is religion. It's man-made. It's man-made traditions and commandments and ideas and these different things. And truth is truth. It's truth is something that comes directly from God by way of a relationship with Him. And so just keep these two ideas in mind and remember that they are separate and different. I want to mention too that when I talk about religion, what I'm really talking about is the institution of religion. I'm not talking about any particular church or, any particular church or any particular religion, but I'm talking about the general institution of religion. It is based on man-made ideas, and what religion teaches you is what its head, its leader, believes. It doesn't teach you to have a relationship with God and to get to know what God wants you to do in God's commandments. In most cases, it teaches you what man believes God wants you to do. And the one thing that you have to keep in mind is that no man, not me or any person in this world, knows what God wants from you. You have to have a relationship with Him to know what God wants you to do, to know what your purpose is. Your purpose will not be the same as my purpose. In general, I can tell you what our purpose is. Our purpose is to be the light of the world, to be the salt of the world. That is the purpose of Israel. But I can't tell you individually how God wants you to do that. Only God can tell you how He wants you to do that. And so you have to have a relationship with Him in order to know what your purpose is specifically, and what you are supposed to do as an individual child of God. But the end goal is the same for all of us. We are to be a light to the world. That is the end goal. So just keep these things in mind. Understand the difference between religion and truth. This website, of course, is not intended to be religious in any shape, form, or fashion. We hope that it helps you to build your own personal relationship with the Most High, Yah, and that you learn the truth and that you begin to live and walk in the truth. And so I congratulate you on your journey. I'm so happy that you have chosen to take this journey with us. And I hope that all of these videos have been helpful. This is the last video in the Getting Started segment, which is Truth 101, Foundations of Understanding. The next segment is Bible 101, where you will learn more concepts regarding the Bible in particular and your studies. Have a great day.